listening to the Dynamic Women podcast. Each week, you'll be inspired by our global community of women. They'll share with you tools and stories to help you be dynamic in every area of life. Here's your host, award-winning coach, and the CEO and founder of Dynamic Women, Diane Rolston.
Hello there, lovely dynamic woman, and welcome to the Dynamic Women podcast. I'm Diane Rolston, your host, and today, oh my goodness, this is a topic that you do not want to miss. Overthinking. But how do we do that? Don't worry, I got you covered. We're going to talk about how overthinking is affecting you, the different types of overthinking, how long you should really take to make a decision, and then we're going to get into some solutions so that you can be decisive and get on with achieving the things that you want to achieve. What makes us overthink? Well, we have schedules in our minds, along with our goals, our priorities, and important people to make decisions about every single day, every moment, right? If you're anything like me, I got a couple of kids, a business. There's always things to make decisions about. But do you find yourself to be a quick decision maker, or do you overthink things? Well, overthinking, it's kind of pretty natural for us, but it can totally hinder your progress. Perfectionism, procrastination, these are the two negative results of overthinking, as well as feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed. And so I'm sure that you've heard the expression, paralysis by analysis. What are some things that you overthink on? Is it things about the kids? Is it balance in life? What's for dinner? Big decisions like, are you going to move, or are you going to change jobs? Maybe it's you overthink your taxes. Do you overthink marketing if you have a business? And do you even just overthink what you're going to order when you go to the ice cream shop? Now, overthinking all of these things, man, it takes time. It takes so many other things. So let's break it down. What does overthinking actually do to you and others? Because we're doing it all the time, but we obviously don't feel the pain enough. So I'm going to share some things that can come from that. Maybe you can't sleep. You're laying awake at night. And even if you do get to sleep, well, you might just have a poor sleep instead. Or you're not sleeping because your brain won't shut off. Maybe you're somewhere with someone, and instead of paying attention to them, you're still overthinking that decision. Is overthinking taking your time? Is it taking your money? Is it taking your action away from you? Write a few things down. Do you maybe find that you're even scheduling too much? Now, the topic of overthinking, this came from actually a really positive opportunity that I had. I've been really wanting this year to have a big fun birthday, like getting away to a beach somewhere. And I've been putting it out there that's what I wanted to do. And what was really cool was a friend of mine. She asked me if I would go to Maui with her and a couple of her friends to celebrate her birthday. And this is about 4 months before my own birthday. And I didn't have a solid yes. I also didn't have a solid no. And I was humming and hawing. Eventually I said to my husband, what do you think? Like, I have this chance to go to Maui and stay in my friend's condo. All I'd have to cover is my flight, and then we'd be picking up food, drinks, and the car. So fairly straightforward, great opportunity, and I couldn't say yes. But I also couldn't say no. I was overthinking it. And so when I told my husband about this, he was like, you know what? Go for it. Why aren't you doing this? You can take the time off. It's obviously a fun trip to have, so just go. So what did it cost me to overthink that decision? Well, by the time I said yes, they had already booked their flights. And when I went to book the same flights, it cost more money, and a substantial amount of money more. So I decided, I'll maybe go later in the day. So what happened? It still cost me more money. It also cost me time. because that day I actually missed being in Maui with them and I arrived after they were in bed. This also meant that I lost out on the convenience because they were all driving in a car together and I had to take a shuttle. So even positive decisions that we can make, when we overthink, it can cost us. Now, why do I tell you this? Not to make you feel bad, but really just to have you see what it's costing you so that maybe next time you reconsider and try to make a faster decision. So I was curious about how long it takes people to make decisions. Small decisions like, what are you going to have for dinner? Or when you're at the restaurant, like, actually, what are you going to choose to order? That can be considered a small decision. Or are you going to wear a skirt or pants today? Now, what about bigger decisions? Those can be things like, which house do we buy? Do I quit my job? Is it the right time to have children? These can be bigger decisions because, well, they affect more areas of your life. They affect more people in your life. And they're not as easy to implement or to undo. You know, if you pick the wrong food, it's not that big of a deal. You're going to have another meal very soon. And you can always order something else if it was really that bad. Ask yourself right now, how long does it take you to make that small decision? How long does it take you to make that big decision? I did a bit of research, and what I found was small decisions should take you about 30 seconds. And then the big decisions should take about 30 minutes. When I asked my community of women, dynamic women, at our live events, what I found was the answers range from a few hours to a few days to a few weeks to a few months to make those big decisions. And the small decisions can be made in seconds, minutes, or even longer. But you may be thinking, how can someone make a big decision like what house to pick in just 30 minutes? Well, what I think they're referring to is something I'm suggesting is going to be called focused decision-making time. So let's say for a small decision, you're looking at the menu and you see, oh, there's this yummy sushi. Oh, but over here, there's also like this yummy glory bowl or the Cobb salad. And so now that you've weighed your options, you see what you have, you're like, okay, so here are my 3 choices. And now, do you think it could take you 30 seconds to choose between those choices? Yeah, if you started a timer in 30 seconds, you could pick between one of those. And let's look at the big decision. So something like which house to buy. At this point, you've probably already seen a lot of houses. You're already feeling it out. You can see what's good and what's bad about each home, including the price point, the neighborhood, and how much work you're going to have to do on it. So then we get to this point where you've got maybe 3 or 4 houses to choose from. So do you think, again, if you could start a timer for 30 minutes, that by the end of the 30 minutes, you could have come up with a decision? And so focused decision-making time means you're not doing other things. You're not letting it percolate. You are not just going about your day. You're actually sitting and looking to have a result of a decision by the end of the time. Now, some people say, oh, Diane, I could never do that. It takes me forever to make decisions. Or I like to honor the space and just kind of sleep on it or let it just sit there. And I know that I'm going to figure it out or I'm going to see a sign. And so I'm just going to do other things and then come back to it. And the problem is we often put it on the back burner and then it actually doesn't even happen. So I kind of had this with the podcast. Actually, back a few years ago was when I really wanted to start it. And I wasn't that I was overthinking it. It was more so that I just didn't make the decision to commit to it. Other things were in the way. Other things were more important at the time. And so it's not necessarily that I was overthinking, but I definitely missed out on having it happen. What if I, though, instead was to start a timer? Even give myself 3 minutes, 30 minutes, 13 minutes, just some specific dedicated time to make a decision. If you're listening to this, you probably have a decision that you need to make, a decision that you are overthinking. So let's get you some solutions to help you to not overthink. Because when we overthink and we can't sleep, we have self-doubt, or we get into kind of paralysis, or we're not present for the ones we love, we often escape that distress by having a little bit of some unhealthy coping strategies. Maybe you pour yourself a glass of wine, you binge watch Netflix, or you stay busy. These are all things that can happen. So think of the thing that you said. Think of that item that you're overthinking on. That one thing that if you could make a decision on that right now, today, your life would be so much better. And I want to make sure I also mention about, imagine if you took your schedule and you wrote in it, make a decision on X, Y, or Z. And you actually plugged that time into your calendar. I could totally see that this would be a benefit to you. But let's get into some more solutions. You can ask yourself, big picture here, will this matter in 5 years? Or even will this matter in 5 weeks? So whether you picked the Cobb salad or the sushi, does it really matter in 5 weeks? It doesn't matter in 5 hours. Well, unless you're sick, I guess. But put it in perspective. Another way to solve overthinking is to ask yourself, am I truly supposed to answer this question? Or is there a first or a simpler question that I need to ask myself? And thinking back to the moving example, if you were to decide that you were going to move, would it not be wise to first decide what city you want to move to or what type of house you want to buy? Like a house, meaning, detached home or a townhouse or a condo or a trailer? What is it that you want to live in? Or what city, suburban, rural, and what your budget is. Those steps have to come first, way before you actually have 3 or 4 choices in front of you. So ask yourself, is this the question I really should be answering right now? And if not, find out what is. Funny enough, some of the dynamic women have said, just do it. Just make a decision. Just do one thing and get it rolling. You can also brainstorm. Brainstorming will help you to create a plan of action, at least the first step. And my clients say that I have Dianisms, and here comes one of my Dianisms. Everything is figure-outable. It is. You can figure this out. But what you have to do is keep focusing on active problem solving. Don't dwell on the problem. Don't dwell on the fact that you can't make a decision on this. Just keep going for what solutions are there. Ask yourself, what steps can I take? What can I do next around this? Is this the first question I need to be asking myself? Other solutions include sleeping on it, exercising, and asking yourself, what would happen if I don't make this decision? The truth is, the decision could be made for you, which I'm guessing if you're anything like me, you really like to have a say in how you design and plan your life. Gonna have a quick peek here, see if there's any other overthinking aspects that I would love to share with you. I think I've got them all covered. Awesome. So you have the opportunity. You have the opportunity to take that one thing that you have and to figure out, is this the right question? If it is, what are my options? Do some brainstorming. If you still can't come up with an idea of what you should choose so you don't overthink, decide to exercise, go for a walk, be in nature, or sleep on it. Know that everything is figure-outable and that you will be able to make a good decision. And if fear comes in around, will I be making the right decision? Ask yourself, big picture, will this matter in 5 years, or will this matter in even 5 weeks? So overthinking, it takes your time, it takes your money, it takes convenience, it takes away balance, and it gives you so many negative things. So why do we do it? I implore you, don't do it anymore. Focus on the decision making and make small decisions as quickly as possible. Seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds. Try and do things super quick. What this is going to do, it's going to build your decision-making muscle. And what's the worst that can happen from a bad decision? You're going to learn from it. And you're going to know what to make, what decision to make the next time. And you know what option is not right for you. So don't take yourself so seriously. Get out there, make some decisions. And I'd love to hear how this podcast has impacted you in your decision making and how you have made an awesome, dynamic decision. If you are looking for more dynamic women activities, events, and trainings, please head on over to the Dynamic Women Global Club. We would love to have you join us, be part of our community of international women. You can also head over to the Dynamic Women Global Club on Facebook. Join our Facebook community. We've been having amazing support here on reviews of this podcast, and I thank you. And if you haven't written us a review yet, we'd love to hear it. And of course, subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our successful women's stories, secret tips that they give us, our interviews, our inspiration, and some other cool training that I do with my clients. You get the goods here at the Dynamic Women Podcast. Thanks, everyone, and until next time, stay dynamic.
Thank you, Dynamic Women, for joining us today. Please hop on over to iTunes to subscribe and leave us a review. Who do you know who needs to hear our message? We'd love it if you'd share our channel with your friends and family. If you're ready to be more dynamic, have more balance and more success, head over to www.dynamicwomenclub.com/free gift for your Key to Success book. Stay dynamic.